Hey everyone, this is Anastasia Autumnfire. This is the video for the snow moon lunar incense. February's full moon is called the snow moon. That's the most common name. I have also heard it referred to as the hunger moon. January's moon, I've also heard people call it the hunger moon as well, so either I misheard, that's always a possibility, or perhaps they were getting February or January mixed up, or perhaps that's just how they corresponded with January's full moon. I think the meaning behind the hunger moon certainly is effective and carries weight, resonates, be it January or February. You're still in the height of winter. You're dealing with long nights. You're dealing with cold. You're dealing with snow. Food is scarce. The sun, while yes, it is gaining energy, it's still not anywhere near full power. Days are getting longer, but the nights still overrule them, so to speak. So it definitely isn't a warm and fuzzy time. It definitely is a time when people feel that stretch. We feel that sting a bit. Even if we can't relate to hunger in the way that people that truly live off the land do during this time of year, I think it hits us differently. Those of us that do have the luxury of going to the grocery store down the street, while we might have, our fridge is full and don't really have that, we do have bills that have to pay. Electricity goes up in winter. You're home a lot more because, at least here in Minnesota, you don't want to go out in winter. Even going out to, I love going to karaoke. I hate driving at night on the winter roads in Minnesota. People drive crazy. I almost got hit 3 times coming home from work. It just seems like everyone is kind of a bit more hectic. Everyone's kind of a bit on edge. And I think it's because we kind of get, especially around this time of year, we start to get kind of that cabin fever feel. We've been cooped up for months and we want to get back outside and we want to get back active. Here in Minnesota, it's still freaking cold. This last weekend, we had 40 degrees and it was like, heat wave in Minnesota, but it's still icy, it's still slushy. You go outside and your boots, no matter how good your winter boots are, your socks still get wet. I don't know how, but they do. And it's a complicated time. And it makes you have to reprioritize things. It makes you have to kind of stretch that dollar a bit more, especially with the holidays that kind of happen November, December. Then in February, you have Valentine's Day. If you have someone special that you get gifts for, that can be an expenditure. It all just kind of runs together in wintertime, that all this stuff kind of happens. And I think it all kind of sets us on our ear a bit. It takes us out of our element a bit. And the hunger moon, I think that title and that energy definitely is felt. But for me, I correspond far more with the more commonly used name that I've heard, which is the snow moon. Again, my information tonight, the major resources that I used to research were Magical Recipes Online and Luna's Grimoire, another website. The snow moon in February, it is called that because, one fact that I just found out is it's more common for snow to fall in February as opposed to December and January. I thought that was kind of fun. Not necessarily fun, but interesting. There's the right word. And for me, and this was what kind of hit me over the head the most, is the correlation between the snow moon and the idea of cleansing and purification. Snow in its most base form is water. It is a very cleansing and purifying thing. First off, there is nothing more beautiful and more for me, I don't know how exactly to describe it. I've kind of taken on this insane connection to snowfall this year. Um, Anyone who is in an area where snow is a thing, it happens. Um, Anytime freshly fallen snow is out and you go outside and there's no one really around, whether you're in the cities, whether you are in the, especially I'd imagine if you're in the country, a big, huge open field of freshly fallen snow with the sun kind of just coming up and you have all this glitter, or under a full moon. At least in Minnesota, I know Shakti has talked about this before. In Minnesota, the snow kind of is a glitter bomb. At least there is a certain snow that just glitters and shines. And if you're even if the moon is shining, it doesn't even need to be a full moon, to be honest. If the moon is out and you have that glitter bomb snow, it is the most beautiful thing ever. But when you step outside and there's no one around and there's just this huge blanket of freshly fallen snow, there is this silence that comes over you and it comes over the land, and it is just this insane thing because it is, I mean, it's cold outside, it's snow, it's winter, but you feel this warmth around you. You feel completely enveloped in this blanket of glitter and light, and you feel as though you are the only person on the face of the earth at that time, and you can take in every bit of spiritual connection and sacred feeling in that moment. And it is connected, it is beautiful, and it is such a wonderful blend of external and internal mixing and kind of creating this atmosphere. And that, for me, is what the snow moon is about. It is about connection between the physical and the spiritual realm and using the cleansing properties of snow. Springtime for me is very much about cleansing. I understand a lot of people connect Samhain with cleansing. It's that letting go of that which does not serve. And I definitely resonate with that as well. I'm certainly not dismissing that by any means. But with Imbolc, which also takes place in November, you have the beginning of spring. And again, in Minnesota, there's not a whole lot of beginning of spring. There's not a whole lot of first signs of spring. There's no, I love the pictures of the little snowdrop flowers coming up over the snow that's kind of starting to melt. Yeah, that's not my world. I would love it to be my world, but that's just not real life. So it has become a much more internal thing. It's about beginning to see not only nature awaken slowly but surely, but having that nature and the light of the year and the energy and that kind of green magic and earth come alive within me, if that makes any form of sense. I really hope I don't sound like I'm crazy. That's what Imbolc has kind of become for me. It has been a spiritual awakening of spring. Or spring awakening, that's probably the correct phrase. Just because my physical world where I live, it just doesn't connect as much. I do try to go out into nature and wake up nature. I posted a video of last year, my daughter with a wand that she very quickly broke on a tree, which, oh man, it was a thing. But she came around last year and tapped on trees and bushes and told them to wake up. And it's kind of a tradition that I started with her because I wanted her to experience that fun too. And the thing is with every tap that she did and every, yelling out of wake up that she did, I felt myself awaken more and more and more. Because during the dark of the year, during that winter time, um, as beautiful and spiritual and connected as, freshly fallen snow is, the dark of the year has moments of that, but so much of it is just internal workings. And I've come to really love the quiet of the dark of the year. I have really have come to respect and honor it, and I embrace it. It's been an amazing winter for me with my learning, but with that, you do kind of go a little stir crazy. You want to get outside. You want to go walking in the woods. You want to feel this connection. You want to go, even just out on the balcony and watch the sunset. I would love to do that. And it's just too cold. Heck, I think our door is frozen still. It's it's a thing. So with as much spiritual connection as you can feel and as much as you can learn, you still yearn and want that warmth to return. You want that spring to come, because when spring comes, then summer's right around the bend. I prefer being cold as opposed to being hot, so I resonate a bit more with winter than I do with summer, but I'm still so excited for summer to come because of what it means for me spiritually. And that's kind of where snow ties in for me, is all this inertia that I've built up over the winter, all of this kind of grime and not grime, that's putting it in a wrong way, but staying indoors, you kind of feel as though you need to spread your wings a bit and stretch your legs and kind of go out and be one with things. And when the snow melts in springtime, I see that as all of that shadow, all of that darkness, all of that inertia and stagnant energy that's kind of built up because we've been cooped up in our homes kind of dissipates as the snow begins to melt, and you have, these puddles and these muds all around you, and it's almost just as frustrating as having to drive and walk in snow. But there's progression. You see this transition from death into rebirth. You have this renewal. You can actually smell the earth coming back alive. And for me, none of that would be possible without the snow melting. Like, that has just become such a process and such a connection for me for that transition from winter into summer. It really is watching the landscape go through that phasing and go through that transition, and suddenly where there was white, you begin to see, yes, brown, but then kind of a little bit of green, and then more green, and then soon when Beltane's here, hopefully it's lush with just flowers and greenery and trees all up and around. And I've never until this year really given it the thought that it deserves, and given the time to pause and really understand that without that snow melting, without that water coming and flooding and encompassing the earth, the ground, what have you, all of that renewal would not be possible. Water is an element I struggle super, super hard to connect with. Fire, I connect with. Earth, oh my Lanta, you betcha. Air even, totally there, I got you. Water is just kind of a mystery to me, and it's really hard for me to grasp. But I'm starting to get on the same page with it. And so my learning of the snow moon and learning that it really kind of helps with that purification, and it helps with that cleansing, and it helps as we begin to start when we work with Imbolc energy and we honor that Sabbath and we welcome that in, for those of you that do, because I know some do not. I personally do. For me, the snow moon just helps dedicate myself a bit more to that process of purifying and cleansing and getting out any negativity that is built up over the winter. During the winter, I've done a lot of shadow working, and there are a lot of shadows that I have come to really appreciate and really understand and know that I'm still working through them. So no, they need to stay exactly where they are. But there are some shadows where, you know what, I've worked my way through you and I've gotten past you and you no longer serve a purpose with me, so I need to get you the Hades out. And that's where spring cleaning comes in, opening the windows, letting the new fresh air in, getting to the floors with the broom and sweeping out any just negative or stagnant energy out. And for me, this full moon in February helps to focus me on that endeavor just that bit more. Just that much more, sorry. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I've gone through what I wanted to say on this video so many times, and every time I kind of go off on this tangent, and I have had messages given to me while I'm trying to practice what I want to say, and it's like, nope, that has nothing to do with this video, but I need to tuck that away for a later date, I think. So I apologize, this isn't as formally written out, and it isn't as planned. I kind of felt a need to do this a bit more intuitively. I read the gist of magical recipes online, and then I kind of meditated with it. I kind of thought about it and really internalized it and thought, what does this mean for me? And time again, it came back to snow is winter's form of purification and cleansing. And it has its place, and it should be honored, and it should be taken in. Even though it's complicated, even though it makes things twice as hard, even though, it starts off beautiful, and then it kind of gets grimy and not pretty to look at. But then the the correlation between that and the Crone came to me. The Crone as the goddess, which is the form she's in now, and we're right on the cusp of welcoming back the Maiden. But as the Crone, she is complicated. She is difficult. You don't get from home to work easily. It's a process. You have to work at it. And yet, it is something that is so beautiful and so meaningful and can connect you in such an amazingly intense way. And it really has hit me this year just how tied winter and the Crone are. And with the snow moon, it isn't that I am saying, okay, I'm done with the Crone, kick her off the bench and welcome in the Maiden. If nothing else, my matron would have my head. Because, yeah. But it's more of a shedding of skins. I mean, I'm just getting this image in my head of a snake slithering through the snow. And as it does, the skin comes off of the snake as it approaches this green pasture. It's just leaving behind whatever is not in our best interest, whatever, no longer needs to hang with us. It's getting rid of the old and welcoming the new, but not getting rid of the old in an unfavorable or nasty way, but instead sending it on its way with honor and dignity. And those are the energies that I am going to be working with this snow moon. This particular snow moon, which is on February 10th, the moon, I believe, is also in Leo. Now with Leo, that's a fire sign. So while I'm talking about this gentle transition of, snow into green and Crone into Maiden, you have this fire energy that is just in your face, and it is strong and it is fierce. And of course, those are things that I easily correlate with the Crone as well. Um, Definitely an aspect of hell that I have not worked with before this year, and man, she is all over me like wet on rice with that energy this year. Just that in your face focus, deal with this, get over it. um, so with that, with Leo's kind of twist on the snow moon, um, Leo really has us looking towards success. Leo has us looking at leadership and confidence and strength. And for me, these are some traditional aspects, these are some personal aspects that I found. For me personally, Leo is very much about courage. It is about going forward in the most unapologetic way possible, because at the end of the day, you are magnificent. You are just it. You are powerful. You can command the room with your presence, and that should not be anything you have to apologize for or take shame in, because that is ridiculous. Oh man, I am sorry. Things are just popping today. It's, of course, the first night of the new moon, but it's also the last night of the balsamic, so Dark of the Moon is a thing for me. So we'll just keep going. I'm sorry if this is not making sense. I really hope this is making sense to someone other than me. But yeah, so I really, again, it just is hitting me with that Crone energy. You have, yes, this beautiful transition from Crone into Maiden, but she is going out just like a phoenix. She is on fire. She is beautiful and unashamed in her boldness, in her brutalness. I mean, there are things when we take our ritual baths, when we cleanse, when we bless ourselves with salt and water, there are things that we are preparing to do that some people are terrified of doing. When we enter in a circle of magic, if you are a witch and practice magic, that is something that is so profound, and it is so beautiful, and it is so powerful. And I know I myself doubt the crap out of myself when I do things like that. And this moon, I am definitely feeling like it is going to be a night of cleansing. It is going to be a night of honoring, but it is also going to be a night of owning my shit. And not in a negative way. I have talked about owning my shit as in, hey, I've done this and it's probably not been the best thing, so I'm going to learn from it. No, it is, I'm going to look at myself in the mirror and I'm going to see me for the true person that I am. And I'm going to like it. I'm going to love it. And I am going to honor and worship it. And you know what? Every single person out there should do the same thing, because we are all fucking awesome. And that, holy cow, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I'm just getting hit. But that, I think, is definitely the message I am getting for this moon. And perhaps it's a personal message and no one else agrees. Like I said, I didn't do too much research into this one. It felt right to be a bit more intuitive about this and kind of go through this meditation. And I have my little pentagram with my stones for charging. We've got a black tourmaline for cleansing. Of course, a clear quartz point for energy boosting, and then a pearl for the moon. And then this is my knowledge candle with my little spell for bringing on messages and giving me the knowledge that I'm supposed to have at this time. So definitely feel like I've been hit with that. I'm going to leave my rambling about the moon kind of for now. That's kind of what my take is on the moon. Your take can be completely different. This whole spiel, maybe you didn't resonate with a single word. That's totally fine. That's totally valid. that is just something that I felt called to share. So, now with a little bit of change of scenery, here is, I'm going to adjust the camera just a bit. There we go. This is my lunar incense. I have already made it. I did one slight difference. Instead of using apple, which I used for my lunar incense for the wolf moon, I switched it up with these purple flakes are lily. Lily is very good for cleansing. It represents renewal, well, not cleansing per se, but renewal. It represents the life cycle, life, death, rebirth, fresh, a new life, renewal, rebirth, all that jazz. It is something that is acknowledged in funerary, funerary rites as well. And so I kind of liked that for this because it's that shedding of the skin, but it's the whole circle. So then for the snow moon, I went with 4 herbs, 3 herbs and 1 resin. I chose sage, and again, I have this kind of ground sage. Sage wisdom, healing. It promotes spiritual, mental, and physical longevity. It is great for cleansing, purification. It also helps to soothe grief and loss, and it is great for wish fulfillment. So I thought, obviously, when we smudge, a lot of times it's with white sage. It's a great agent for cleansing, but I also like that wish fulfillment because with Imbolc, yes, we dedicate ourselves, but we want those spring gifts to be coming our way too. Then I went with sweetgrass, and I'm going to kind of move this for a moment. I put this in my grinder, and it didn't get too fine, but that is sweetgrass, and I absolutely adore sweetgrass. I do not cleanse or smudge anymore without my sweetgrass braid, because I love the smell. It has a slight vanilla scent to it. Oh my god, love it. And sweetgrass is good for peace, unity, and calling spirits. And honey, I'm telling you right now, peace and unity are 2 things this world needs. And calling spirits, that's actually something that I do for Imbolc. I call to the spirits of spring and welcome them as they kind of begin their journey and start kind of awakening and getting ready. And Ostara comes. When Ostara comes, I do a ceremony where I say farewell to the winter spirits and usher in the spring. So I thought that was a good kind of preemptive strike, if you will, for lack of a better phrase, for the snow moon to call spirits with the sweetgrass. Then I have frankincense. Frankincense is good for successful ventures. I thought that kind of tied in with that Leo vibe. It's great for cleansing and purification. It's good for protection, consecration, meditation, and it's also great with manifestation. I believe it was, oh goodness, I'm going to lose the name. Sunshine Morning Ray. I might have that name wrong. But I remember watching a YouTube video early on about frankincense, where they talked about how if you want to completely neutralize energy, just blank slate that sucker, frankincense is the thing to use. So I love frankincense for cleansing because it just takes it all away and lets you reprogram that sucker. And the last thing I'm going to use is rosemary. Rosemary is great for healing, love and lust workings, if you so wish. I wanted some love in this. Clarity, improved memory, purification, protection. It's also greatly associated with the Fae, and I wanted to include them since, we're awakening nature with Imbolc. I thought working a piece of something that was associated with them with the moon would be great as well to continue that awakening. And it's also good for remembrance. It's something that I very much associate with the ancestors. And of course, you know, I like to include them in my workings. And then, of course, I've already put in the gardenia oil with the lunar incense for binding. But for the snow moon, I have rosemary oil. Again, from Enchanted Boutique, 100% pure essential oil. Love it. And Maiden. Blessed be. Put 3 droplets in there. And that whole Maiden by Mother by Crone, when I do 3 droplets, that is actually something that I saw, I believe it was Joey Morris do in some of her crafting videos, and that just clicked. I know she's had issues with people stealing things, so I do not want anyone to think I'm stealing anything from anyone, because that's terrible and awful, and that would make me cry. So I do want to give her credit for that, because that just, it rang true for me. I absolutely love it, and it is something that I continue in my practice, and I cannot begin to thank her enough for her videos, because they are just insanely inspirational. So yeah, we've got the snow moon incense here. Just to kind of remind you, the lunar incense consists of white rose, lemon peel, jasmine, sandalwood, white willow, lotus, mugwort. I used lily instead of apple in this one, and then gardenia oil for binding. And that is what that looks like. And it even looks, I am very happy. I'm very glad that I switched to lily for this instead of the apple, because it kind of has a bit of a springier look to it. And that, again, just makes me think of Imbolc. It's just the beginning of spring. So now I'm going to charge it these 3 nights of the new moon. I do view the new moon very much the way I view the full moon. The full moon, I believe the day of the full moon, you can access its energy, but then you also have the day before and the day after. I do the same thing with the new moon. The day of the new moon, which is tomorrow, you can access new moon energy, but you can do the same on the night before and the night after. And especially since we're cleansing, or especially since I'm cleansing, especially since I have a cleansing and purification focus with the snow moon, I thought it would be perfect to have it charge in the new moon all 3 nights. So yeah, that is my snow moon incense, and I hope this wasn't too much of a ramble. I hope I didn't talk in circles. I hope I didn't get too emotional, because I know it suddenly, something grabbed me. And I really hope it made sense. I know a lot of my videos, I tend to get carried away and I just start rambling. And I always worry that it's like, okay, Anna, you're making sense to nobody except yourself. And I really hope that it's something that might ring true for someone other than me. So yeah, with that, I will leave you guys be. I hope you have an awesome new moon. For me, I cleanse and purify my home and kind of set up some protection. But certainly, I hope everyone has an amazing snow moon as well. Enjoy this full moon. Have a great Imbolc. I'm going to have some Imbolc crafting videos coming up very shortly, because I've got a lot of stuff planned for that. And I want to share. So yeah, I will end this now. Thanks, guys. Blessed be as always. Bye.